A janitor thinks she can fix this? The CEO's voice dripped with disbelief as he pointed at the malfunctioning engine. His gold watch caught the boardroom lights while he dramatically pinched his nose. You even smell like motor oil. Maxine Waters froze at the doorway, still holding trash bags in her worn hands. 20 executives turned to look at her as though she didn't belong there. The CEO stood, his polished shoes clicking on the marble floor as he approached, stopping close enough for Maxine to smell his expensive cologne mixed with arrogance. Here's a deal, he said coldly. Fix this $2 million engine that MIT engineers couldn't repair, and I'll marry you right here. He snapped his fingers inches from her face. When you fail, and you will, security will escort you out for good. The room fell silent. $50 million in contracts depended on this broken machine. Have you ever been dismissed so completely that someone bet their reputation on your failure? Tech Vanguard Industries stood tall in Silicon Valley's skyline, a glass monument to innovation. Inside its 40-story tower, America's most promising autonomous vehicle company designed billion-dollar dreams in laboratories and boardrooms scented with leather and ambition. The CEO had built his empire with ruthless precision. At 42, he commanded fear more than respect. His tailored suits projected power. His presence left no room for weakness. The tech world called him a visionary. His employees used other words behind closed doors. On the polished conference table lay the company's prized creation, a revolutionary AI-guided engine meant to power their self-driving delivery fleet. It wasn't just another prototype. It represented 3 years of research, 47 patents, and the combined genius of Silicon Valley's brightest engineers. The system promised to power vehicles with 93% efficiency, potentially transforming the logistics industry overnight. But for 6 weeks, the machine refused to cooperate. 3 teams of Ivy League engineers had tried and failed. 67 diagnostic tests led only to frustration and panic. The engine would start, run precisely 14 minutes and 37 seconds, then overheat and shut down with the same cryptic message, harmonic disruption detected. Maxine Waters knew every inch of Tech Vanguard's pristine marble floors. For 3 years, she had pushed her maintenance cart through those halls, invisible to the executives who stepped around her as if she were part of the furniture. Her official title read, Technical Consultant, but everyone knew the truth. She cleaned offices, emptied bins, and endured the daily humiliation of being the most overqualified janitor in Silicon Valley. Her community college engineering degree hung framed in her small apartment, a silent reminder of dreams postponed by medical bills and life's harsh turns. While her classmates had gone on to prestigious universities, Maxine had made a different choice. Her mother's cancer treatment came first. Each chemotherapy session cost $3,000. With insurance covering only 60%. The math was brutal. Every passing day, the pressure at Tech Vanguard intensified. The CEO's morning briefings turned into shouting matches, his patience evaporating with each failed test. He paced the boardroom like a caged animal, his expensive shoes tapping out the rhythm of frustration. Coffee cups stacked on tables like geological layers, each marking a new level of desperation. 67 million. He roared during one tense meeting. That's what we lose if this engine doesn't work by Friday. $67 million that could have secured market dominance in 3 major cities. The engineers, graduates of Harvard, MIT, and Stanford, sat frozen, eyes glued to laptops showing the same repeating error codes. Their high salaries and elite degrees meant nothing now. The engine's AI refused to communicate properly with its mechanical core. Every fix led to the same result. Overheating, smoke, shutdown. Marcus Brooks, the exhausted team leader from MIT, had tried everything: software patches, hardware swaps, full system reinstalls. They'd even consulted automotive experts from Detroit and AI specialists from Stanford. One desperate executive suggested that the building's energy field might be interfering with the engine. The CEO's eyes swept the room like searchlights. Maybe we have too many people who don't belong here, he said, letting his gaze linger on Maxine as she quietly refilled the water pitcher. Dead weight dragging down the operation. The jab landed. Some engineers glanced at her with uneasy sympathy. Others silently agreed. Maxine pretended not to hear. She'd long ago learned that invisibility was survival here. But her engineer's mind wouldn't rest. Late at night, when she mopped the empty boardroom, she'd pause to study the blueprints scattered on the table. They revealed something no one seemed to notice. The engine was manufactured in Germany using metric measurements, while the AI calibration software was written in California using imperial units. A simple conversion mismatch could explain everything. The company's tension boiled like steam in a sealed pipe. Security footage showed the CEO deliberately scheduling Maxine's cleaning shifts during investor visits. He'd point her out with mock pride, saying, "We believe in giving everyone a chance, even our maintenance staff." His tone made it sound like charity, not opportunity. Internal emails were worse. Threads referred to her as the cleaning lady despite her consultant title. Some even discussed her upcoming termination as a cost-cutting measure. The CEO himself had started one cruel exchange, joking about whether she could even read the company directory. The HR manager responded with laughing emojis. Colleagues whispered that she was only kept for diversity optics. "At least she's quiet," one marketing director said. "Better than the last one who tried to speak up in meetings." Yet Maxine kept working and watching, because while everyone else stopped believing in the engine, she hadn't. Maxine's part-time work had long since become essential. Applications to transfer to four-year universities gathered dust in a folder labeled "Someday." After graduation, she took whatever jobs used her skills: small repair shops, industrial, maintenance, eventually landing at Tech Vanguard through a temp agency that promised actual technical consulting. The reality was different, but the paychecks kept her mother's medical bills paid. 3 years on, she carried her grandfather's lessons like a guiding principle. Every night she read engineering journals and manuals, keeping her knowledge current despite janitorial duties. Online courses in automotive engineering, AI integration, and advanced diagnostics filled the hours she didn't spend cleaning. Her studio was stacked with textbooks, technical papers, and salvaged engine parts she treated like study specimens. Samuel's voice came back to her during the hardest moments. "Engines don't care about your circumstances. They respond to someone who understands them." Standing in Tech Vanguard's auditorium before 200 skeptical faces and the CEO's hard stare, Maxine felt that same steady presence as if a hand rested on her shoulder. The broken engine wasn't unlike the Mustang Samuel had once fixed. It needed somebody who could hear what it was trying to say. The real test was about to begin. Silence fell so complete that the ventilation sounded loud. Victor Sterling gripped the microphone at the podium, his fingers white around the stand. He hadn't expected a staff member to challenge him in front of investors who could decide the company's fate. Klaus Muller leaned forward, watching Maxine intently. Dr. Elena Rodriguez set down her coffee, her engineering instincts sharply alert. The other German investors exchanged curt whispering remarks. Victor ran scenarios through his head. Dismiss the comment, fire her, move on. But Klaus's scrutiny gave him pause. The industrialist treated Maxine's remark as if it might be significant. A colder idea formed instead. Why simply fire her when he could make an example of her? Public humiliation would enforce obedience and entertain the visitors. Well, he said, voice amplified through the auditorium. "Our maintenance consultant has an opinion about advanced engineering." The emphasis on the word maintenance cut through the room. Some employees visibly flinched. He stepped down from the podium, shoes clicking on the stage. "Maxine Waters, isn't it? The woman who empties our trash thinks she understands what 67 MIT and Harvard graduates couldn't solve." Nervous laughter rippled through the audience. People shifted between discomfort and curiosity. It had the feel of corporate spectacle. Dr. Rodriguez, notebook in hand, watched without judgment. Throughout her career, she'd seen breakthroughs come from unlikely sources. Her mentor had taught her not to dismiss an insight because of its origin. "Genius wears many disguises," she had been told. Victor continued theatrically. "Since you're so confident, here's your chance. Fix the $2 million engine that stumped us for 6 weeks, in front of the board, our investors, and the entire company." He motioned toward the German delegation. "These gentlemen represent 100 million euros in potential funding. They came to see American innovation. Let's show them something." Klaus's assistant already took notes. Whatever happened would be documented and reported back to Munich. The auditorium hummed with whispered commentary as employees started composing social posts. Victor had lost some control of the narrative, but it was too late to retract. "Fine," he said tightly. "Dr. Rodriguez can witness this, but I'm adding a condition." He nodded at the auditorium cameras. "We will livestream the entire attempt on the company's social channels. Let the world see what happens when unqualified people attempt jobs beyond their capabilities." Marketing scrambled to set lights and camera angles. Social media managers drafted hashtags and captions. Tech Vanguard's channels prepared to broadcast live to thousands. Maxine stood still beside her cart, hands steady despite the attention. This was the moment Samuel had prepared her for, not by degrees, but by teaching her to listen to a machine's voice and respond with competence. Dr. Rodriguez walked down the aisle and stopped before Maxine, studying her face carefully. "Young woman," she said quietly, for Maxine alone, "are you sure you want to proceed? This isn't just about fixing an engine. Your future is on the line." Maxine met her gaze and steadied herself. "Sir, I've been listening to engines my entire life. This one's been telling us what's wrong, we just haven't been hearing it right," Maxine said calmly. Dr. Rodriguez nodded thoughtfully. Something in her eyes softened. Maxine reminded her of the young engineers she had mentored at Tesla. Sharp intuition, grounded knowledge, and quiet confidence. "Very well," Dr. Rodriguez said aloud for the microphones. "Let's see what you can do." The challenge was now official. 2 hours to either prove herself or lose everything. The engine waited in the executive boardroom like a silent judge, ready to determine one woman's fate. The crowd followed, phones recording every step of this corporate showdown. The boardroom transformed into a theater of judgment. 200 employees pressed against the glass walls, whispering anxiously. The German investors sat in sleek leather chairs like a tribunal. Klaus Miller checking his platinum watch with cold precision. Dr. Rodriguez took her place beside the machine, her composure signaling years of engineering truth. The broken engine gleamed under the LED lights, a fusion of chrome and steel surrounded by diagnostic equipment, error codes scrolling endlessly, oscilloscopes tracing electromagnetic patterns, temperature sensors blinking. Victoria Sterling, the company's CEO, stood near the floor-to-ceiling windows, framed by the Silicon Valley skyline. Her phone live-streamed the scene as viewers multiplied by the minute. Comments flooded in, most predicting Maxine's failure. Maxine stepped forward, her simple uniform contrasting sharply with the suits around her. The room went silent as she placed both hands on the engine block, closing her eyes like a musician tuning a priceless instrument. Seconds stretched into minutes. Some engineers exchanged smirks, others glanced nervously at their phones. But Dr. Rodriguez noticed the shift. Maxine's focus deepened. "It's fighting itself," Maxine finally said, her voice clear. "The AI system is flawless, but it's compensating for mechanical flaws that shouldn't exist." She opened her eyes and looked straight at Klaus Müller. "This engine was built in Munich with metric standards." "Correct," Klaus replied. "But the AI calibration was done here, in California, using imperial measurements." Maxine continued. Klaus raised an eyebrow, impressed. Victoria's confident smile faltered. She hadn't expected such precision. "That's the first issue," Maxine said. "The AI is controlling components that are off by 0.0003 inches. It's like conducting an orchestra where every instrument's tuned to a slightly different note." She turned to Dr. Rodriguez. "May I start it?" A nod. The engine came to life, filling the room with a deep, rhythmic rumble. To most it was just noise, but to Maxine it was language. "Listen," she said above the sound. "At 2800 RPM there's a harmonic mismatch. The pistons are in sync, but the AI reads false vibrations. Your engineers chased software errors when the issue was mechanical harmony. That's why it overheats after exactly 14 minutes and 37 seconds. Dr. Rodriguez's attention sharpened. "Explain the harmonic theory." "Every engine has a natural frequency, its perfect rhythm," Maxine said. "This one's built to run best at 3,400 RPM. But the AI expects imperial specs, forcing it out of sync." She gestured at the data screen. "See those spikes? That's the engine trying to find balance while the AI pushes it offbeat." Marcus Brooks, head of engineering, pushed forward. "That's impossible. We tested all harmonic frequencies." "You tested what the AI expected," Maxine replied evenly. not what the machine itself was built to perform. Klaus exchanged glances with his team. This wasn't luck or guesswork. It was expert-level mechanical analysis. Maxine spread out the blueprints. Here, crankshaft diameter is 87.63 mm, but AI calibration assumes 3.450 inches, or 87.663 mm. Mathematically close, but mechanically off. German tolerance allows plus 0.01 mm, while American systems allow plus 0.127 meter. That gap is enough to desynchronize the entire engine. Using digital calipers, she verified each component, precise, efficient, sure-handed. The engine's perfect, but the AI keeps adjusting for errors that don't exist. It's like correcting musicians who are already in tune. Online, Victoria's live stream exploded with activity. Engineers from Tesla and Ford joined the discussion, astonished. Marcus muttered, "The tolerance differential creates cumulative timing errors." Klaus confirmed with a slow nod. "The analysis is correct." Dr. Rodriguez leaned closer. "So how do we fix it?" Maxine pulled a small metal disc from the parts cabinet. With this, a harmonic dampener. Instead of reprogramming or remanufacturing, it bridges the frequency gap. Victoria scoffed. "You think a $50 part can solve a multi-million-dollar issue?" "Sometimes the simplest solutions are the smartest," Maxine replied. "Both the AI and the engine are perfect. They just need a translator." She installed the part with practiced confidence. "Hands steady and sure. My grandfather taught me," she said quietly, "that engines have souls. You don't fix them with code, you listen." After 12 minutes, the part fit seamlessly. It was engineering purity. No extra cost, no redesign. "Ready for testing," Maxine said, stepping back. Dr. Rodriguez took position at the diagnostic panel. Klaus checked his watch. 1 hour, 47 minutes had passed. Thousands watched online as Victoria's camera focused in. "Start the engine," Dr. Rodriguez said. The key turned. Silence, then a smooth, flawless hum. The harsh knocking that haunted the engine vanished. Instead, a perfect synchronized rhythm filled the room. Every sensor glowed green. Pressure, temperature, timing, all ideal. Klaus whispered, "Incredible. It's running at 97.3% efficiency, beyond theoretical maximum." Dr. Rodriguez scanned the data. Oil pressure stable. Temperature steady. Zero deviation at 3,400 RPM. She looked at Maxine with genuine awe. "I've never seen cleaner data in my life. Your grandfather would be proud." Victoria, pale with disbelief, crossed her arms. "Fine, it runs. But can it power the autonomous vehicle?" Maxine gestured toward the prototype truck parked outside. "Let's find out." The system came alive, lights flickered, sensors activated. The vehicle's brain reawakened. Through the glass, employees gasped as the truck backed up, turned, and parked perfectly. Autonomous control fully restored. For 37 minutes it ran flawlessly. The 14-minute crash point came and went. American programming, German precision, and Detroit grit worked together in harmony. The investors whispered excitedly. Klaus's assistant typed notes furiously. Victoria's live stream hit over 50,000 viewers. Engineers worldwide watched in astonishment. A maintenance worker had just solved a problem that had defeated entire teams of experts. "Shut it down," Dr. Rodriguez finally said, her tone calm but decisive. The engines powered down smoothly, releasing a faint hum like machines satisfied with their work. Diagnostic screens glowed green for a few seconds before dimming to standby. The autonomous truck rolled back to its bay and deactivated with mechanical ease. For several moments, the boardroom remained silent as everyone absorbed what had just happened. 6 weeks of failed attempts had been solved in less than 2 hours, by someone whose job description still listed maintenance support. Dr. Rodriguez approached Maxine Waters, extending her hand with genuine respect. "That was exceptional engineering insight," she said. "Where others saw system failure, you saw mechanical harmony. Your solution was efficient, cost-effective, and brilliant." Klaus Mueller stepped forward next, his handshake firm with German precision. "Ms. Waters, your diagnostic process impressed our entire team. This is exactly the kind of innovation that builds lasting industrial partnerships." Across the room, the male CEO stood near the window, frozen. His phone, still streaming live, had just captured his professional downfall. The comments were no longer mocking Maxine's background. They were celebrating her victory and questioning his leadership. What happened next would test whether fairness could prevail in corporate America, and whether true skill could overcome bias when millions of dollars and hundreds of jobs were at stake. Dr. Rodriguez's steady voice broke the silence. "Based on this demonstration," she announced, "I'm submitting an immediate recommendation to the board." Turning toward Klaus Müller and the German investors, she continued with authority built over 4 decades of automotive expertise. Maxine Waters has displayed diagnostic precision and creative problem-solving beyond what I've seen from most professional teams. Her analysis was accurate, her solution elegant, and her execution flawless. Klaus Müller nodded in agreement. "Our delegation fully concurs. Ms. Waters' methods impressed every member of our evaluation group." He checked his notes. "We are prepared to increase our investment by 20%, contingent on Ms. Waters leading our European engine development initiative." A quiet stir filled the room. A 20% increase meant an additional 20 million euros, enough to turn Tech Vanguard from a startup into a global player. Dr. Rodriguez signed the official papers. "Effective immediately," she declared. "I'm bypassing standard promotion procedures to appoint Maxine Waters as Senior Engine Diagnostics Engineer. Her compensation will match the market level for advanced harmonic systems experts." Meanwhile, the livestream chat exploded with applause. Viewers shared the video across business networks, and several rival companies began sending Maxine recruitment offers. The hashtag #Maxine Waters trended globally as engineers praised the technical mastery they'd just witnessed. Marcus Brooks, a member of the MIT-trained team, stepped forward with humility. "Our entire group apologizes for underestimating your expertise," he said. "We'd be honored to collaborate with you on future projects and learn from your approach." In less than 2 hours, Maxine's life had transformed, from overlooked maintenance worker to respected senior engineer. The German investment was secured, the engine issue resolved, and Tech Vanguard's future brighter than anyone expected. Yet the most impactful moment was still to come. The male CEO remained frozen by the window, his own live stream documenting his fall. The boardroom's atmosphere shifted. What began as a humiliation for Maxine had become a reckoning for him. The German delegation exchanged looks, clearly reassessing leadership at Tech Vanguard. Müller's assistant whispered about the viral response. Over 100,000 viewers were watching live, with industry leaders reposting the video. Comments praised Maxine and criticized the CEO's poor judgment. Tech Vanguard drama and engineering justice were trending side by side. Dr. Rodriguez closed her notebook with finality. "The board will initiate a full review of management practices," she said, "especially regarding how qualified employees were sidelined while costly consultants failed." The CEO's face had turned pale. The confidence was gone. He had planned this challenge expecting an easy win, never realizing that the woman he mocked possessed the very skill his company needed most. "The German delegation has concerns," Klaus Müller stated calmly, his words cutting through the tension. "Our partnership depends on confidence in company leadership. Today's events highlight serious management errors that threaten our joint venture." Board member Patricia Brooks finally spoke, her tone sharp and deliberate. "An internal investigation is required. We need to understand how a senior consultant ended up performing maintenance work while his, or rather her, expertise was ignored for 6 weeks. It didn't take long to find evidence. The CEO's emails revealed discriminatory remarks, referring to Maxine as the cleaning lady, and scheduling her janitorial tasks during investor meetings. HR Director Jennifer Walsh, who had joined in those conversations, was soon called into emergency meetings about workplace harassment policies. The viral video was now legal evidence, and corporate lawyers began preparing settlements. 2 weeks later, accountability arrived with precision. The male CEO was demoted from chief executive officer to strategic advisor, his salary reduced by 40%, and his decision-making power removed. He wasn't fired. The board wanted to avoid legal battles, but his authority was gone. Adding irony to injury, he was required to complete diversity and inclusion training led by Dr. Rodriguez herself. Meanwhile, Maxine's success expanded far beyond the boardroom. Her promotion came with a 150% salary increase, stock options, and leadership over a new task force for inclusive innovation. Tech Vanguard introduced new policies ensuring every employee suggestion, no matter the source, received fair review. The company's stock rose by 15%, and applications from skilled engineers surged by 40%, many referencing Maxine's inspiring story. 3 months later, the male CEO approached Maxine in the company cafeteria. His tailored suits had been replaced with simpler attire, and his tone carried humility. "I owe you an apology," he said, "and I'd like your guidance on building more inclusive leadership." Maxine smiled gently. "Everyone deserves a chance to improve," she replied. "The question is whether you're ready to listen with the same focus you'd give a machine that needs repair." Justice had been delivered, not just punishment, but transformation. 6 months later, Maxine Waters stood in Tech Vanguard's expanded facility, overseeing German engineers installing systems for their European production line. Her designs powered delivery fleets across Munich, Frankfurt, and Berlin, their engines running with perfect rhythm, the same harmony she'd discovered that day in the boardroom. Her modest community college diploma still hung in her apartment, now surrounded by framed patents, awards, and a photo of her shaking hands with Klaus Miller at the Munich Auto Show. Her grandfather's lessons had evolved into million-dollar innovations bridging continents. Sometimes, the greatest expertise hides in unexpected places. It's not about titles or degrees, it's about dedication and understanding. If this story inspired you to look beyond assumptions, subscribe and turn on notifications. Have you ever seen someone's talent go unnoticed? Share your story in the comments. It might become our next story of recognition and justice. And for the sharp-eyed viewers, look closely at minute 432. You'll spot a detail that reveals the CEO's true character. Watch again and tell us what you find.